Some Americans may be doomed if and when the economy takes a turn for the worse. Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Please also share this video with your friends. Thank you for your support. Today, I read several financial news articles. I've included links to the articles in the description below. I encourage you to read the articles to support the authors and news sources. As a private American citizen, I'd like to report and share my transformative thoughts through commentary regarding small sections of these articles that are of public interest. Today, I read an article on Yahoo Finance put out by Benzinga and written by Janine Mancini titled, "Susie Orman Doesn't Believe People Are Doing Okay, Despite Being Told the Economy is Strong. In my opinion, they're still struggling." The author quoted Susie Orman as saying, "I think people are not doing okay." She went on to say, "The rents people are paying, the prices they're paying for real estate, their homes, that concerns me." When you look at people's individual situation, in my opinion, they're still struggling. Well, my friends, not everyone in America is struggling. We have the billionaire elite who are doing quite well. In fact, I read this past week that Jeff Bezos bought a $90 million mansion to live in, while the other homes that he purchased for $147 million are being demolished for a mega mansion. We also have people who were fortunate enough to invest in real estate and stocks years ago, and they have benefited greatly during the run-up in asset prices in the recent past. However, a large number of Americans own very little, and they are struggling due to inflation. Some aren't even living paycheck to paycheck. Their paychecks aren't large enough to cover all of their expenses. They rely on various forms of credit to get by. They are following the government's example by taking on debt and kicking the can down the road as long as they can. The author of this article said over half of Americans lack a $400 emergency fund, which means even minor setbacks like car trouble can trigger a debt spiral as people resort to credit cards. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is really hard to believe. There are approximately 335 million people in America. It's hard to wrap your mind around the fact that over 167 million people don't even have $400 in an emergency fund. In my opinion, a $400 emergency fund is a joke anyway. That's not enough money to deal with most emergencies in life in this day and age. Just about anything that breaks on your car is going to cost more than $400. Just about anything that breaks on your house is going to cost over $400. If you have a medical emergency, same thing. It is really sad to hear about such a large number of Americans who are basically destitute. You wouldn't guess that by driving around and seeing so many people driving nice vehicles. Just about anywhere that I drive, everyone has a newer and nicer car than me. I'm still driving around in my 2004 Toyota Camry with over 400,000 miles on the odometer. I'm perfectly okay with that though. I have to wonder how many of those nice cars on the road are financed. I have to wonder how many people are living paycheck to paycheck and barely making those car payments. I was driving down a highway recently with multiple lanes and looking at all of the traffic. I thought to myself, this highway wouldn't need all of those lanes if financing wasn't available for cars. If everyone in society had to save up money to pay cash for a car, fewer people would be able to drive one. The same goes for homes. Imagine if you could not finance a home and everyone had to save up the cash to buy one. The world would look a lot different than it does today. We wouldn't see neighborhood after neighborhood stuffed full of these cookie-cutter box houses put up as fast as possible by production builders who bend over backwards to find a way to get people financed for their overpriced inventory. Debt is what makes everything possible in this world. It allows a lot of people to have a lifestyle that they ordinarily wouldn't have without it. Some people are more effective at managing debt than others. Some find themselves in a situation where they can't make the payments anymore, and then the house of cards blows over. Imagine what could potentially happen to a lot of people if economies around the world take a turn for the worse, or if we see some asset bubbles pop at some point. Things could get really bad. Apparently, some people think the economy is already really bad. The author of this article referenced a CBS News poll that found 60% of respondents described the economy as fairly bad or very bad. I have news for people. The economy is not very bad right now. There is extreme wealth inequality, but the economy is not very bad. If we ever see unemployment skyrocket, asset bubbles burst, or more bank failures, that's a completely different story, especially for people who depend on credit to survive. Access to cheap and easy credit could dry up quickly. Life may get real at that point for tens of millions of people. Some Americans may even be doomed. Let's hope that does not come to fruition. I hate to think about people suffering. Some people here in America that have tried to pinch pennies to deal with inflation by shopping at a 99-cents only store may be in for a shock. I read an article on foxbusiness.com written by Timothy Narazi titled 99 cents only chain closing all 371 locations nationwide. According to the author, the company is moving forward with total liquidation and is closing all of its 371 locations. I found this to be interesting since the dollar store chain announced last month that they would be closing 1,000 stores due to inflation and crime. But hey, our economy is booming according to politicians and the mainstream media. In my opinion, it is booming for some people in America, but not for the masses. We wouldn't be hearing about crime and homeless camps across the nation if it was really booming. People would not need to resort to crime if there were great jobs that paid livable wages where one breadwinner could afford to support an entire family so that the other spouse could stay home to care for the children and make sure they are not on the streets getting into trouble. Maybe that was possible back in the 1950s and 1960s in America, but today there are a lot of parents that both need to work multiple jobs just to pay their debt obligations, and the kids essentially raise themselves on social media or by hanging out with their friends on the street. It is a sad state of affairs for many families here in America. Now think for a moment about all of these families who are barely hanging on right now. Many can't even begin to think about saving for retirement. They are doing their best just to survive right now, and occasionally they go out and enjoy doing something for fun at an overpriced movie theater or at an overpriced restaurant. I've said it before and I'll say it again. However bad the retirement crisis in America is today, I believe it could be a lot worse in the future. This is because many people just can't afford to set money aside for the future. They are sacrificing their financial future by just dealing with today. I read an article today on foxbusiness.com written by Alicia Warrant titled, Americans Weigh In on Whether a Comfortable Retirement is Possible in Today's Economy. Here's what is interesting about this article. The author referenced a survey by Northwestern Mutual that suggested it would take $1.46 million to comfortably retire. Isn't it interesting that the iconic single-digit millionaire status is just not enough anymore? If you have $1 million saved and you are retiring today, that might only generate $40,000 per year when applying the 4% rule. Even if you have a home that is paid off, that might just cover your property taxes, insurance, utilities, and home maintenance in some parts of the country. Note, I said some parts of the country. Sure, there are parts of the country where you can still buy a house for $100,000, and all of those expenses might total less than $6,000 or $7,000 for an entire year. If you live in a one-stoplight town with a modest home, that $1 million might be more than enough, especially if you are a high earner during your working years and you are receiving a nice Social Security benefit each month. If you are living in a major city and own a home, $40,000 plus a small amount of money from Social Security may not cut it anymore. Getting back to the article, the author referenced a woman from Fox Business named Ashley Webster who talked with diners in the Villages in Florida. For those of you unfamiliar with the Villages, it is a huge retirement community in Florida. One of the residents there said she plans to keep working due to everything being expensive. She also said that she has zero ability to save. Another resident said he sees a lot of people working longer even though they may not want to. He went on to say people are working as cashiers and waitresses to supplement their income. I truly worry about people who have to do this to survive. There may come a point where they can no longer work due to physical or mental limitations. At that point, it may be game over. What in the world do they do then? Do you have any ideas? If so, tell me about them in the comment section below. Please keep in mind that everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only, and nothing in this video is financial advice or advice of any kind. If you need advice, seek advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Please also consider sharing this video with your friends. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. Check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.